Stu and the kids are channel surfing on the home television, stopping a show called Cartoon Cavalcade. Dee Dee begs Stu to stick with a show he likes, but Stu says he has to scan for toy commercials. When asked how his transforming toy Transformo is doing, Stu says that it still needs work. Cartoon Cavalcade's first commercial break starts, and a commercial featuring a toy called a Miracular begins. It showcases how it can turn into a bird, a rocket, a helicopter, a tank, a space station, a submarine, and an atom smasher. Stu isn't pleased when he sees this. He now knows that someone has beaten him to the punch and made him perform far better than his own invention. When the Miracular is also seen to do tasks such as homework, cleaning rooms, taking out garbage, washing dishes, Stu gets even angrier, and in a fit of rage, throws Transformo at the TV, which gets damaged. Stu tries to turn the TV back on, but has no luck. Dee Dee comes into the living room. Stu stops Angelica from saying that he broke it. He also promises that it was none of the kids' faults. He and Dee Dee go into the shed for a box big enough to fit in the TV. The box he found, not the one the TV came in, but his Cheese of the Month sampler case, is not big enough, though, and he goes back to the shed to look for another box. The babies decide to make a TV out of the box, and the babies each take turns at their own shows. Tommy is first at the game show, getting in trouble. His first contestant, Chucky, is picked to play the first game, setting a bad example by breaking valuable objects. Angelica, bored with this decision, decides to go next to the commercial advertising her beauty juice. Phil and Lil want the beauty juice, but Angelica says that her beauty juice isn't available because the only bottle is hers. Tommy pushes Angelica out of the way, getting back to the game show. Chucky performs the next game, spinning in circles. Feels like he ate too much spaghetti. Then asks Tommy what the fabulous prize is. Tommy thinks for a second, but Angelica shows them her toy car, a Ferrini Condorcet X10 Zillion. Same car used by Angelica Bond, Master Spy. Angelica pushes Tommy and Chucky out of the way again and does her spy show. Phil and Lil are too bored and have a turn at their own show, a soap opera called The Teeny and Tiny. Lil says to Phil that she's having a brain transplant. Phil protests, saying that the doctor should have his brain instead. Chucky asks Tommy what the twins' show is supposed to be, and Tommy replies he thinks it's a soap opera. Angelica butts in, singing, thinking it's an actual opera. She asks the twins to sing, but they don't know how to sing yet. She is Angelica trying to force them to sing. Tommy begs him to stop showing too much violence on TV, saying it's Chucky's turn to do a show. Chucky does a news program starting off with the top story about the Pickles television being broke. Tommy is in the studio telling me how he's handling this tragedy. Telling the viewers how he's handling this tragedy. In other news, Spike knocks out a rival dog in a fight, but nobody knows when or why the outcome happened. Phil will butt in, whispering remarks about each other into Chucky's ear. Angelica butts in yet again, this time with her own police show, with the babies as prisoners. The babies try to run away from her, but she catches the DeVille twins. Tommy announces one more game for getting in trouble. Stay away from Angelica. If the contestants win, they get either the toy car or the beauty juice. The babies run with Angelica giving chase. Chucky gives a special report on the race between the Pickles cousins. Stu and Dee Dee return to the living room without a big enough box, in disappointment, but are pleased to see that the kids are playing with the TV. Stu blows that it doesn't matter if he threw Transformo at the TV and busted it after all. Hearing this, Dee Dee is very angry at him, especially for lying the whole time, while Stu grins sheepishly. One day the babies are playing in the backyard, but Chucky is strangely fascinated by the sky and less interested in playing. Tommy and the twins don't understand why until Chucky says the sky seems slower today. For some reason, all four end up staring skyward. Chaz and Stu pass through the backyard on their way to practice playing tennis together off the Pickles' garage door. Fathers are mystified by the strange behavior of the babies, but don't let it stop them from practicing tennis. Angelica comes by, and when the babies explain that they think the sky might be falling, she smirks and tells them the sky does look lower, like the last time it fell. They ask for more details, and Angelica tells them it happened just before they were born. It was the end of the world. Everything got worse until finally all the TV shows were canceled. Angelica continues to frighten them until a tennis ball zooms over the garage and hits her car on the head, just as she's describing how the sky will fall in chunks. Now Angelica is convinced the sky is really falling. The DeVille twins, Angelica, and Chucky panic, but as the brave one, Tommy suggests they can build a fallen shelter. Soon a shelter has been constructed beneath the picnic table in the backyard. Angelica puts supplies in the shelter, including deluxe crayons, built-in sharpener, cookies, and a VHS collection of Gummy Bear cartoons. One by one, Angelica allows Tommy, Chucky, and Lil inside with her, but not Phil, because then the boys would outnumber the girls. None of the babies will stay in the shelter if they can't all be saved, so Angelica has a change of heart and allows them all in. To pass the time, Angelica tells them all about how they'll rule the world as pirate kings. Of course, I'll be the king of all you. Revision includes raiding toy and candy stores, since as the only survivors, there won't be anyone to stop them from doing so. Back out front, Stu and Chaz have broken many of Betty and Howard's windows, but Stu still wants to continue practicing. Yet again, a tennis ball flies over the garage and into the backyard, this time hitting Spike. Spike, startled and frightened, rushes all around the backyard before trying to get through the fence into the Bill's backyard. But Spike gets stuck, knocking the garbage cans, and part of the fence begins knocking an apple tree with such force that apples begin falling rapidly right onto the fallen shelter. Inside the little shelter, Angelica and the babies hear the sound of falling apples overhead and think the sky is falling. They scream, cry, and hold on to each other until Spike makes it through the fence and the apples stop falling. Cautiously, they peer out. The backyard is quiet and empty, and they assume they're the only survivors, not realizing the truth. Angelica appoints herself president of the world and ushers them back inside Tommy's house, insisting that it's okay since there's nobody else left. The first thing Angelica decides is that she wants an indoor pool. The living room is the perfect place to go for it. The hose is brought into the living room and turned on, unleashing water into the house. Angelica says the couch pillows will make great pool toys and tosses them to the newly formed puddle on the floor. That done, she leads the babies into the kitchen next to look for junk food. Hose, without being held down, begins to spray water all over the place. The kitchen is torn apart with pots, pans, and food everywhere, with no candy to be found. Angelica finds milk and splashed it, put tuna on the counter door and wheat germ into the refrigerator. Angelica's frustrated by this and asks Tommy where Stu keeps his car keys so she can drive to a candy store. Tommy's outraged that Angelica wants to drive and refuses to help her, even if she's the president of the world. Angelica decides to go by herself, but just as she's about to open the door to the garage, Stu and Chaz come in from that very door and quickly discover the mess. The two dads correctly realize that Angelica's behind this and force her to help them clean up the mess she made. Stu holds her arm with a mop innocently. The babies are relieved that Stu and Chaz survived the sky falling and agree that Angelica was an awful president of the world. As they are not held responsible for the mess, they decide to go and explore Tommy's old bedroom, leaving Angelica behind to mop up the living room.